Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of Fable 3. I played it on the Xbox One via backwards compatibility. It's also available on the 360. I think there are computer copies of it somewhere out in the world, but good luck finding those. So let's start with the story. You once again play as basically a nameless hero. You can be a male or female. I played as a female. You are the prince or princess of the land. Your brother Logan is the king, and well, he's a dick. He's a massive jackass. He is tyrannical, he is just awful, and I mean, they really just paint him as a horrible ruler. He's really a monster. It's not even a spoiler, but in the first 10 minutes of the game, he forces you to choose between the execution of a bunch of citizens or the execution of your best friend / earliest love interest. So after that, you leave the castle with your best advisor, I guess, Walter, and you go on a large adventure that is based around starting a revolution. And I'm not going to go into any spoilers, but I will say that something happens near the end of the game that just completely changes the game, and it's awful. It's a horrible twist, and it spoils elements in the gameplay section, and it just has the biggest plot hole in it possible. It's so easy to poke and be like, well, couldn't you have just done this and made everything not this shitty? So I gotta say, Fable 3 on the story part, it does well for a while and then just collapses completely at the end of the story. As for the audio, this is the first in the Fable trilogy, as I'm replaying them, that I had any real audio issues with, serious audio issues with, and that was this weird static, overly compressed, failing to uncompressed issue. There would be people who'd be talking and it would sound really staticky, or when I was casting magic and just in combat and in the world, the music would go staticky. It was really noticeable. And I will say, I don't remember this happening on the 360 version, although it has been many years since I played this on the 360. As for the voiceover work, this is the first time that your hero has an actual voice and has some lines. I do wish they had had a few more lines, because they have 10 throughout the entire game. As for the rest of the voiceover work, I think it's really well done. I like the celebrities that still pop up in it. I think they're good. I like what they add to it, and I think overall, once again, Fable has this good sense of humor throughout the game, and it's something I enjoy. As for the music, I like the music in the Fable games. I will always like it, but it's never going to be music that I sit there and go, man, I am in love with this music. It's good, it's in the background, and it works well, but it's not phenomenal. Let's get into the gameplay mechanics and whatnot. Fable 3 is the Fable game that has the best overall fighting system, I would say. It'll bleed a little into controls, but the combat works without a lock-on feature, which I gotta admit, I kind of miss the lock-on, but I think this works well. You point in the direction, your character will shoot, slash, or cast magic in that direction. And I think it works well. There's also the safety so that you're not slaughtering civilians if you don't intend to slaughter civilians. Fable 3 does have the same good and evil system of the previous Fable games, but unfortunately in this game, because of a story element, it gets kind of rendered moot if you don't know what you're doing. Basically, if you've never played Fable 3 and you don't know about the twist at the end, playing a good playthrough is difficult. Doing this playthrough, I honestly just wasted a bunch of time doing certain things in order to have that good ending because I was doing a good playthrough. It is still a third-person RPG, but they really changed the leveling mechanics. You get guild seals, which is how you unlock these chests on the road to becoming a hero. Literally, there is a road to becoming a hero. And rather than getting strength XP, magic XP, skill XP like you used to, you just use these guild seals to unlock chests to increase your abilities with swords, guns, magic, your social abilities, your ability to earn money, etc., etc. It is a much more simplified and streamlined way of doing things, and honestly, Fable 3 has a lot of other features like that, including your travel system, your land ownership system. And then Fable 3 brings back the dog from Fable 2, and it's kind of a plus and minus because It's a plus because the dog doesn't get injured every time you enter combat like it did in Fable 2, which was horribly annoying. But it's also far dumber than the dog in Fable 2 somehow, with it getting stuck constantly. You'll just hear it barking because it's stuck trying to get to a key or a dig spot or a treasure chest or something, and it's not guiding you there because it's stuck. You'll have to come back through from a different angle, and that got annoying. How they broke that, I don't understand, when it worked so much better in the previous game. They also simplified the interactions with the civilians, the citizens in the world, and I really like the way they did it. They made that much easier to use than in previous games. I think overall, it's a more streamlined game, and that is fantastic, quite frankly. As for the controls, I think these are the best controls in the Fable franchise. They are responsive, they work well, I like the way they do pretty much everything in combat. Again, I do wish there was a lock-on, but I can live without it because they did a good job with what is essentially your auto lock-on feature or your ability to kind of target. I never ran into any real problems with the controls during this playthrough, so I can't complain about them. Lastly, the graphics. This is the best looking of the Fable games, and I like that they kept that cartoonier look throughout. I think that is important. It's key to what Fable is at this point. You see that art style and you almost instantly know that it's a Fable game. They did a cool thing with the weapons where each time you leveled up your ability with melee or firearms or whatever, those guns will actually change appearance, or the hammers or swords, they'll change their appearance a bit. Not massively, but enough that it's a fairly cool design element. I also just love the world of Fable. I think it's a neat, bright, colorful world, and there are some areas where it's kind of like dark and dingy, but they're supposed to be, and it works well, especially in Bowerstone, because it's kind of going through an industrial revolution, so it's really polluted, it's really kind of grimy and dirty looking, and they did a great job with that. I thought it was cool. So let's wrap up Fable 3. From a gameplay standpoint, in most ways, this is the best Fable game. When we're talking about controls and combat and interacting with the citizens, this is the best Fable. But once again, they run into some massive story issues near the end, and this one, it negatively affects the gameplay near the end. But I will say, I did have a fun time playing it. This is like, I want to say my 4th playthrough in total. I've played this game several times over the years. And I gotta say, I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. It was fun to go back and play, but it was really kind of a hassle because I was doing a good playthrough, and with one of the changes they made to this game that happens at the very end, that twist I mentioned, it just kind of drags it down at the end, which is a disappointment. So I don't have a problem recommending it, but I would wait till it's on like sale or something. I know it's fairly cheap right now in general, but still, with that fucked up ending, as fun as it can be to play, that drags it down a bit. So obviously there are things that I have mentioned but not gone into detail into, and I'm going to do a spoiler talk video about those. So if you want to know about what I am hinting at and what I have the biggest problem with, you'll be able to watch that video. Okay, so in the comments down below, why don't you tell me, have you played any of the Fable games? And as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you like what I'm doing in general, share, subscribe. Have a good one.